Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Thursday. Thursday's a great day of the week.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Totally is. Totally is. It's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a light at the end of the tunnel day for me.
I'll allow it.
You know, you see the weekend is on the horizon, especially this Thursday, because, folks, we've got 2 more sleeps.
Foosball's back.
2 more sleeps until foosball that matters is back. We got football that matters coming back to us. We've got a slate on Thursday that starts at 9 a.m. and it doesn't stop until about midnight, baby.
I'm in.
Midnight.
You mean Saturday?
What did I say?
Thursday?
Gosh.
That's today.
Thursday, you got preseason football.
Yeah.
Saturday, 9 a.m., Florida State, Georgia Tech from Dublin, Ireland.
There you go.
You've got Montana State at New Mexico at 1 o'clock on FS1. I should never want to watch that game. Guess who's going to watch it? He's got 2 thumbs. He's pointing right at myself. It's me. 5 o'clock, CBS Sports, SMU, Nevada. I'm a sicko. I'll watch that. And then we have breaking news. Right now. From the news desk. Delaware State, within the hour, has arrived in Hawaii.
Ladies and gentlemen, they made it.
The Delaware State Hornets have arrived in Honolulu. Remember, this is the team that missed, or their bus never arrived from Delaware to JFK, so they missed their flight to Hawaii.
Just a minor flight. It's the 10.5-hour one.
On Tuesday. They finally got there.
It's tough.
An hour ago. they got to Honolulu.
Whatever the line is, take Hawaii and the under.
Hawaii minus 40.
Take Hawaii and the under.
The over-under is at 56.5. Oh, hold on. Hawaii minus 40, and the line is 56.5. Oof. I don't think it's going to be a good year for the Hornets. I'm just throwing that one out there. I don't think that this one is going to be. I mean, this isn't Timmy Chang. Well, it actually is Timmy Chang's Hawaii. He is the coach of Hawaii. So it is Timmy Chang's Hawaii, but it's not a Timmy Chang quarterbacking Hawaii Warriors team.
No.
Yeah. You can get in the door for as low as $14.
God, in Hawaii, that's cheap.
Well, and I think it's a tiny stadium. Think of that. Supply and demand. I believe it's like a 15,000 seat stadium they're playing in. You can get in the door for $14.
They're not playing in the standard stadium anymore, are they? Wasn't that place so old it was like decrepit?
Yeah, they condemned it.
Yeah.
And they tore it down, so they have a temporary stadium.
It's right there along the freeway. I remember driving past it when my wife went out there and I went out there.
It's actually pretty nice for like a small little stadium.
But it's dinky.
Yeah. It's very small. They are building a new Aloha Stadium, though. That is going to be pretty dope.
You need to have a stadium there. Like, not just for the university, but like for like any kind of event. Because that's where everything happens. It's outdoors.
Boy, the Pro Bowl was really cool. The Pro Bowl in Hawaii was cool to be there. And I know that they didn't like flying all that far and yada, yada, yada. But you know what? I think they'd rather go to Hawaii. Well, Vegas.
Yeah.
When they did it in Jacksonville, it was like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, Hawaii in February, great place to be.
Great place to be. Great place to be. But yeah, here's their new temp stadium. I mean, that's not bad for a temporary stadium.
What they
had
had
a track around it.
What they had when I was there in 2021, 22.
Sure.
It did not look good.
No,
you could see it from the freeway, and
very rinky dink. But the new Aloha Stadium is going to be pretty awesome. It's not going to be as big, which is okay. But I had teammates in college that they would play like the state championships in the Aloha Stadium, and that place would be packed.
Yeah,
they put like 60,000 in that place for like the Hawaii State Championship games. This is pretty sweet.
I mean, it's the cool thing about being like, if you've never been to Hawaii, you don't really understand how small that island, the big island, even is.
Yeah,
it's very small. It does not take very long to drive around.
So we had on the new podcast that I'm doing with Cole Linehan, former Duck. It's called The Program. Go download it wherever you get your podcast from.
Indeed.
Odyssey Sports podcast. We had Max Unger on.
Where's he from?
He's from Hawaii.
Oh.
And he went to Hawaii Preparatory. And that's one of the things that we talked about is what football in Hawaii is like. Because think of like the road trips that we have here where it's like, oh, man, I got to go. Like, you know, if you play up here, you say you go to, you know, Beaverton.
Mm-hmm.
You may have a 2-hour bus ride down to Sheldon. Or a 4-hour bus ride down to like play North Medford.
I think the longest drive we had was Sheldon or Bend.
Yeah. They have to get on like airplanes and boats for the playoffs. It's like, yep, well,
now go to another island.
You're going to another island.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah. So when you go from like the big island to Oahu, you're taking an airplane for your high school playoff game, which is pretty awesome.
Kind of dope.
Yeah, and he said that they get it all like sponsored, so like all the businesses, like Hawaiian Airlines will pay for like a flight to go from like the Big Island over to Oahu or Maui to Oahu, and that is really cool. And so like the whole community is just like, yep, we're going, and you go over to Oahu and go watch state championship
come
games.
together.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah, no,
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. That's very cool.
I think it's. The OSAA has a really tough job here because we have so many classifications and it's really hard. But having like a central location, I always think it's awesome. Like when you have up in the Tacoma Dome, which I don't think they do it there anymore, up in Washington, where you'd have like a full day of football, right? Like down in Texas, they're in Cowboys Stadium and they go from like 8-man football all the way up to, they have like 4 classifications on Friday, and then on Saturday they have 4 more classifications, and it's just all day football. That is awesome.
I mean, we did that when we were younger. When I was at Civic Stadium.
Yeah, and that was sweet.
That was.
And they do some at Hillsborough Stadium. Like they'll try to cram like 3 into Hillsborough Stadium. They'll do like 4, 5, and 6A, and have a triple header there. But I think it'd be awesome. Put them all in like one location. Like if all of them were at Reeser one year and then Autzen Stadium the next year.
That'd be pretty rad.
If Providence Park would allow football to happen again like that.
Which makes no sense because it's turf anyways.
I know.
It's not like you're worried. Like, look, if this was like pristine grass, I could get the argument.
Absolutely.
Because the football's going to come in there and chew up a couple $100,000 worth of grass.
Yep.
Like I think it's what it cost. What it was when we delve into this, like $330,000 to get that like resodded every single time.
Yeah.
And if you ran 6 high school football games in there on a Saturday, that grass is cooked.
It's done. It's done. I mean, you have in Pittsburgh, they got football every weekend at that grass stadium because
Pitt plays there.
Pitt plays there. Steelers play there, and then
they probably like it though.
They love it.
They love that it gets a little gnarly.
It's Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh football, baby. Pittsburgh football. But I want that back, and I think that it'd be really cool if we could do that in Portland. You know, Portland State getting their own stadium would be sweet too. I've always lobbied for the Vikings to have a stadium.
Hillsborough.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, the Vikings do a really good job with the hand that they're dealt right now, in that trying to make it as fan-friendly as they possibly can. Hell, we had a couple years ago, Barney was buying beers for fans, you know, in the beer garden. They do a really good job doing that. And, yeah, like this Texas Beefs played at Providence Park 2 years ago when they played Montana State.
And they packed it out.
Packed the house. I want more football there. I think
they're doing concerts there, so maybe they'll lighten up on the football too.
Yeah. Dang. I really want more football. I'm gonna get more football.
I'm super ready for football to be here.
Aren't you?
Yeah, I'm.
NCAA changed your life.
It did. It
changed your life.
It legitimately brought
Video
me back.
games.
It brought me back to the fold.
Yeah.
To the flock. It's so interesting, like, because I'm a giant nerd. I will just go pull up rosters and just like scroll through them and go, okay, they look like, because it's not exact. We all know that, but it's like you have a general assumption of like, okay, like Nate Burleson II playing in the Mountain West. I was like, wait, what? Chris Johnson Jr.
Wait, Nate Burleson has a kid that's in college?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Chris Johnson Jr. is like another running back who runs like a 4.38 in college.
I did know that.
Like, but I mean, you start like digging into stuff. You're like, oh, holy crap, that sounds familiar. And you just start digging into all these rosters and like all these random players.
I would not have thought Nate Burleson has a kid old
No.
enough to play in college football.
Yes, he's actually a pretty decent receiver.
Huh. Well, I'll be damned.
Somebody had a list.
He's 43 years old and has a college kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Getting after it young.
Pop one out when you're 20, 21. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. How old is his kid, though?
Probably 19.
We think he's a redshirt freshman. So, yeah, he's probably like 19 years old. Actually, that's not. Oh, God, that
Not
makes
really.
me feel really old.
Yeah, it's not really that crazy.
Yeah, he was. I mean, it wasn't like he was in like a freshman in college
He
pumping out his
probably
kids.
in the NFL. I was 23,
Yeah. Well, I'll be
24
damned.
years old. You know?
Wow.
Not that crazy.
That's cool.
Yeah, but
Learn something new every day.
No, but you just dive in. Number one, holy crap! Do you know how many kids of NFL stars are in college football right now?
It's nuts, dude.
It's
Like, we talked about this in the draft. How many sons of NFL
Holy.
players were in it, like Frank Gore Jr., but Marvin Harrison Jr. But it's crazy now. I mean, genetics matter. Is that a thing?
yeah,
Do genetics matter?
but like this was from March of this year.
Okay.
This is, I mean, it is an insane list right now. I mean, you've got Antonio Gates Jr., you've got Shadur Sanders, E.J. Smith, who's Emmitt Smith's son, Christian Driver's Donald Driver's son. You've got Mason Taylor. I did not know that's Jason Taylor's kid.
I did know that. Joy Taylor talked about
Yeah,
him.
I just did not.
Mhm.
Genetics in that family. Good Lord.
Yep. I mean, that family is blessed by God.
Christian Harrison,
Yep.
Eden James, who is Edrin James' son, Cole Pennington. Have you seen him? He looks like Chad, his doppel. He's the quarterback at Marshall.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, sweet
Boy,
God.
it is. He is a dead ringer for
You-
Chad Pennington.
If you throw that back 20 years, you would not know that that's not Chad.
Hot damn.
I was blown away. I thought it was like an enhanced photo of Chad.
Low key, great quarterback school.
Marshall?
Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sneaky. Speaking of quarterbacks, Owen McCown.
That makes sense. Luke
Ca-
McCown's?
Cade?
No.
No. Luke? Probably.
No, that's McNown.
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
always get those two mixed up.
Pride of
But he's
Westland.
Luke or Josh.
Yeah.
He's at UTSA.
Okay. Go
Uh,
Roadrunners.
Carson Bruner.
Yep. Up at UW.
At
The only
UW.
guy to stay.
Joey Hobart.
Mark Bruner's kid. Oh, really?
Texas State.
Ew, that's a bad football program.
Drew Donnelly at Texas State.
Also, a bad football program. Good genetics, though.
But I mean, you start just kind of going through, and you're just like, "Oh, dear God!"
Yeah, that's crazy, but also very believable. But very few of them are playing at like Power 4 schools.
Oh, Hasselbeck's kid is at UCLA.
Oh, I had no idea
Yeah.
about that.
What is it? Henry? Yeah,
Hmm.
Henry Hasselbeck.
Double H.
It's just Dre Kirkpatrick Jr.
Oh,
at Alabama.
Hmm.
Like already?
it's pretty good. Yeah, he seems like he was on the team
Not that long
not
ago.
that long ago.
Uh-huh.
Wow. All right.
But yeah, I mean, you could play the just dudes naming dudes segment of
Yeah, we just did it.
former NFL players whose kids are in college, and I'm missing probably 20.
Yeah.
Like legitimately. So I was going back and forth with somebody over this a couple nights ago, and I just went, huh? Like again, Chris Johnson, Nate Burleson, like you just start going down the list, and you're just like, oh my God, they're
Yeah.
all over the place.
I love the Vancouver Ford text line. 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them online at vancouverford.com. Texas State on the upswing. We got some Bobcats, folks,
Huh,
huh?
babe?
San Marcos. Let's go. Let's go. Texas State on the upswing. Well, I mean, UTSA was on the upswing. I mean, they've kind of cooled off a little bit.
I mean,
They were really good. When Will Stein calling plays. Larry Coker was like their first head coach that they had. That's a
Yeah.
brand new program.
Isn't
too.
that where Cowan came from? Wasn't that where he transferred from?
Yeah.
They had a
Jacob Cowing.
Yeah, they had a couple guys at UTSA.
Which Jacob Cowing, who the former University of Arizona receiver, I actually saw a headline Jacob Cowing shining at 49ers training camp. That's a sneaky good fit for him. That is actually a fantastic fit for him.
Where?
San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
He's with the 49ers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's at 49ers training camp.
That makes sense.
I mean, small, shifty wide receiver. He's a zig to their power offense, zag. Unbelievable hands, great route runner. A fragile little feller, though. He's listed at 5'8". I would say that is generous 5'8" that they gave him.
Yeah.
He's a small dude. But if you can't touch him, can't tackle him. That's what he goes by.
Helpful.
Pretty good. All right, let's get to sports. Even though we did kind of sports kind of hard.
Sports there a little bit.
We did sports. I promise we will not sports at some point.
Mm.
But they finally did it, folks. They finally did it. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Hello, sports fans, and
All right, it's finally happened.
What?
After 7+ seasons at the helm, the Seattle Mariners are parting ways with skipper Scott Service, according to Ken Rosenthal.
Would you say his
Yeah, Athletic.
service is no longer required?
That's my job.
I see what you did there. Would it shock you if I told you that Scott Service has the second most wins in Mariners history?
Not at all.
He has the second highest win percentage of any manager in Mariners
It's just
history.
Lou, it's just Lou, right?
Lou Piniella.
Yeah.
Lou Piniella has less than 400 more wins than Scott Service, and he has a slightly higher win percentage than Scott Service. Lou Piniella, 542 win percentage. Scott Service,
Which in baseball is good.
516.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
this has always been the problem with the Mariners.
54%.
It didn't get there, yeah.
Lou did.
They're just chasing Lou Piniella right there, trying to get to Lou Piniella's 54%. And this year was a meltdown of epic proportions by the Mariners, even for Mariner standards. They've dropped 15 games to the Houston Astros.
10-game lead lost in 24 games.
Yeah, 10-game lead evaporated that quickly, but then they've lost 5 more in just 53 games, a 15-game swing. That's
heinous.
unreal to think about how quickly this went away. June 18th, we're just over 2 months ago, they had a 10-game lead in the AL West. And look,
Which even in that dumpster fire of a division, you would think would be damn near insurmountable without
but they were
devastating injuries.
They were 44-31 at that point. They are 64-64.
Goodness.
500. But now the Astros have gone 35-18 since June 18th.
Which is really good, but also
That
like
is good. But the Mariners have been 20-33.
yeah, that's the part that's like you can control some of that on your own. And my
Yeah.
God, their pitching has been spectacular, but they just cannot scratch a run across to save their lives.
Yeah, how about this? I saw this from Opta Stats today.
Mhm.
Seattle's Logan Gilbert has a record of 7-9 this season,
That dude should have
despite
17
a
wins.
.88 whip. So if you don't know what whip is, it's walks plus hits, innings pitched.
Yeah.
Right?
So he has a less than 1
Yeah, walks or hits
ratio
per inning.
inning.
Okay. The last qualifying MLB pitcher to have a losing record in a season with a sub .9 whip
Pedro.
was Ed Walsh
Oh.
in 1910 for the Chicago White Sox.
I was gonna guess maybe Felix.
No, I meant to say Felix, not Pedro. For the love of God, thank you. Yeah,
No.
I was going to go Felix.
No, it's even worse than that.
Good God.
It's 1910.
It's full on
Because-
tungsten Armo Doyle.
But this is the thing with Felix is that, like, when Felix pitched, they'd win. Then they'd just lose everything else, right? And that is, that's awful. Then Logan Gilbert, their pitching staff is dynamite. But here's where I'm just at a loss with the Mariners is that, you know, you want to say maybe it's something with T-Mobile Park, right? Maybe it is something with the ball just doesn't go out of the park there. We always heard about the deep fences, brought in the fences a little bit. There's just something about T-Mobile where they don't score runs. But it's not like they score runs anywhere else either.
no.
You know? Like
It's
they
horrendous.
have a minus 14 run differential everywhere else in baseball.
It's actually kind of impressive how much they suck on offense.
It's really bad. It's
Like the White Sox are like, geez.
and this was the year where you're sitting there and you're going, they've tried everything, right? Fire the hitting coach. New hitting coach comes in, they get a little bit of a bump there. Then it's like,
Have they tried
we're
firing
gonna
the general manager
we're
that
gonna
built the team?
get away from Ty France. He's hitting terribly. He was hitting terribly. They got rid of him. That didn't seem to help. It
Well, yeah,
wasn't
well-
like he was bad juju around that.
You need to get rid of the bad
clubhouse.
hitter and replace him with a good one.
Yeah.
That's the other part of this that they're forgetting.
Well, and they did. I mean, they tried at the deadline. You know, like they went out and they made a couple of deadline moves, but it wasn't anything that made them exponentially better hitting
No.
the baseball. I mean, maybe now we see less of Mitch Garver in the lineup, just kind of trying to square peg round hole Mitch Garver, which if you don't know, Mitch Garver is batting 165 this season with 12 home runs
Is that
and
good?
38 RBI as your designated hitter. Let's see here. He hasn't played since the 17th. I'm looking down here. He is 1 in his last 5 games. He is 1 for 3, 6, 9, 10. 11. He's 1 for 11 in his last 5 outings at the plate. That is the issue. They can identify pitchers. They can develop pitchers. They cannot put bat on ball. Very important in baseball. Not really the manager's issue, though. Wholly. It's not wholly his issue.
No.
They brought in Dan Wilson, though. He's been promoted to skipper. He has never managed, nor has he coached a baseball game.
There you go.
He is
All vibes.
He has been part of the organization, though, as a special assignment coordinator. So this is, similar to teams have this all the time where, guy is coming back from injury or guy is struggling. You put him on special assignment. Dan Wilson's been coordinating that. It's not like he's been away from the team. If you watch a broadcast, he's been in broadcasts as well from time to time, and he kind of dips in and out. But he has been around. You're not just bringing in a stranger who's like, we're going to bring back a former player because he was there for the glory days.
No.
And he was.
Yeah, he was there then.
He was. Dan Wilson, absolutely catcher for the best seasons in Mariners history. But you're just saying we need new blood. We're not going to promote a bench coach. Obviously, that's not working for us right now.
Also,
but a guy that people are familiar with.
He's somebody who can also just be dismissed.
He really can be.
Like
and be okay with
yeah.
that at the end of the year and be like, yeah, well, I'll just go back to being my special assignment coordinator.
Totally fine.
And I'll be okay here. But Scott Service out as manager of the Seattle Mariners. He finishes his career with a record of 616 and 578.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And look, Scott Service snapped the postseason drought. It was the longest postseason drought in North American sports history, or North American sports, not history.
Yeah.
In North American sports at the time.
Active, yes.
And last year, they fell just short of getting back there. This year, it looked like they were putting it together. Then you absolutely crumble and you fall apart. Them's the breaks when you're the manager of a team, and now they have a little bit of expectations. I didn't think that this was going to happen, though. I mean, we knew that it was going to happen eventually, and I thought they were going to let him hold on to the end of the year. Ripping the Band-Aid off now, though.
The other part of this is relates to things locally.
Mm-hmm.
The Blazers and the Kraken moving on from Root.
Yeah.
Put the Mariners in a financial just not.
That'd be a pickle, isn't it?
Yeah, and then they are, and they have to figure that out. Now, they're going to get some help from Major League Baseball, but all of this, noise around, the Mariners care, they're going to invest, and they've got money, and they're going to be play. No, they're not. They've got quite a bit of money to figure out now.
Yeah.
And
it's all right. Just a heads up. Baseball Reference has his record as 680 and 642.
Oh, 680, 642?
Yes.
All right. 680 and 642 there.
In just under 9 seasons.
Oh, my
God, has it been that long?
Yeah.
This is season number 9.
Yeah. Oh, so it has his... Yeah, see, I'm sorry, 680, 642 there. He was hired in 2016. That's a long run for a baseball manager, and he had a long runway to get that thing back on track, right? And to break that postseason drought in year 6, and then year 7 they missed the playoffs, and here we are, year 8 plus. You're sitting there going, well, now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah, let's see if they actually sort out their finances and actually get involved in being a big player in baseball. I just don't buy that they will.
Here's an interesting text from the Vancouver Ford text line. It's got to be a Pacific Northwest thing. Blazers, Mariners, Seahawks have not gotten to the championship since 1992, minus the 2005 Super Bowl. Well, I mean, the Seahawks won one and then went back to another one.
Yeah.
But it is a uniquely Mariners and Blazers thing.
Sure.
It's been a really long time since they've played for championships. Well, Mariners, never. Blazers, it's been like we live in the past here better than anybody else with the Blazers. It's been 32 years.
Yeah, and then if you want to throw the 2000 team in there,
where we got screwed.
Yeah,
too soon.
But
a quarter of a century ago.
Too soon.
That's
too soon. Quarter of a century screwed.
God, that is 25. Oh God.
We got hosed that 99 2000 season. We got hosed. So, Mariners, a little hope for Mariner fans out there. A little teeny tiny shred of hope. Do you think it's a little unfair doing it after the Dodger series, though?
No, I think
Like
it's
we
perfect
didn't
time.
like we didn't know that was going to happen to the team with a 600 win percentage, damn near 1 win away. It's like probably should have seen that one coming, guys. That we weren't going to win that series. Maybe they just wanted to. Did they tarmac him? No, he's still there.
Ooh,
No, they
that'd
didn't
be
do that.
tough.
That was a mean joke. All right, but Scott Service out. Dan Wilson, the old catcher. Hey, you got the best player on the team, Big Dumper. Bring in a catcher as your skipper
that
now.
relationship.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't need to get any more hot.
Hmm.
Best player they have right now. But Scott Service done after 7+ seasons in Major League Baseball, or for the Seattle Mariners. All right. Well, let's get back to football, shall we? That was just like a little news. That was a little like a little bit of
little news nugget.
yeah. We got a little newsy starting this bad boy off. We've got a lot of football that we got to get to today because we have a coach that has now been suspended in the Big Ten, and he's owning it.
I thought Jim Harbaugh left.
No, I said owning it. He's owning it.
Yes.
That he has misstepped a little bit, and they did not do the transfer portal right. We've got the Saudi Arabia in college football. There's a link there we need to get to, and some NFL training camp stuff that is just so bad we can't ignore. And we'll get to that next because they say if you got two, you got none. Playing out pretty firmly in one city. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by PG Long Floor Covering, carpet, hardwood, or laminate flooring, cleaning, or restoration. Call PG Long, your Northwest flooring experts, pglongllc.com. First on the Fan. Multiple reports say the Mariners are expected to fire manager Scott Service and replace him with special assistant Dan Wilson, who played for Seattle from 1994 to 2005. The M's held a 10-game lead in the AL West on June 18th, but now trail the Astros by 5 games. Those Mariners heading back home, regrouping after a 1-8 road trip. Off today, they host the Giants for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The Astros start a 4-game set at the Orioles this afternoon. The Seahawks have traded cornerback Michael Jackson to the Panthers for rookie linebacker Michael Barrett. Barrett's a 7th-round pick from Michigan and played under head coach Mike McDonald during his lone season as Wolverines defensive coordinator in 2021. The Falcons have signed cornerback A.J. Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million deal with $65.8 million in guarantees, the largest guarantee ever for a cornerback in a 4-year deal. And the Eagles have acquired wide receiver Jahan Dotson and a 5th-round pick from the Commanders in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and 2 7th-rounders. Dotson figures to be Philly's number 3 receiver behind A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who both got long-term deals this offseason. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has new shirts from the fan shows and hosts you love. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com.
As teams across the NFL are shutting down all of their projected starters, one team is zigging when everybody's zagging. And I don't blame them after losing 9-3 to the Buffalo Bills in week 2 of the preseason. Russell Wilson said yesterday, I'm playing. We're all playing in that preseason finale.
Uh-huh.
Russ went 8 for 10, 47 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, was sacked 3 times, while Justin Fields went 11 of 17 for 92 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, sacked once. 2 guys that held the ball the longest of any other quarterbacks in the NFL last year, but didn't look so great. Getting rid of the ball in week 2 of the preseason, and both of them will now be playing in the week 3 preseason finale. This comes from Doug Clawson, who is a writer for CBS Sports.
Mm-hmm.
Here are the last 13 preseason drives with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields at quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Punt, 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 punt. Missed field goal, punt, field goal, downs, downs, downs. They've gotten 3 points in 13 preseason drives with those 2 guys at quarterback.
Sure, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson are gonna save you. Your quarterback has improved. Da 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 da.
Pittsburgh's in it in a bad way.
They're not good quarterbacks.
And what we are going to see, and I believe this, just based on what we saw from both of these guys and what we've seen so far, Russell Wilson's going to be the starter at the beginning of the year. There will be a point where they say, we've got to play Justin Fields.
Yeah, and they'll play Fields because they know what they have in Wilson, and they'll talk themselves into somehow unlocking something in Justin Fields that nobody's been able to unlock.
We need the athleticism.
Blah, blah, blah.
We need it on out there. But Russ still has his fatal flaws of holding onto the ball for far too long. And
not going to turn the ball over 19 times, though.
Look no further than, I mean, everybody was like wowed by Bo Nix playing quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Hell, Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson looked better than Russell Wilson and Sean Payton's offense because it was get the ball out quick, make a quick and decisive throw, and
be on with it.
Play to live another down. The fatal flaw of Russell Wilson is he cannot get rid of the ball quickly. It 100% is his fatal flaw. He was surrounded by an incredibly efficient run game during his time in Seattle and a play action over the top passing game, which he still has. And I think those are the flashes that you saw from Pittsburgh last week that made you say, all right, it is going to be Russ, right? He had that one long throw to Pickens, I think on the sideline off play action, where you go, okay, Justin Fields isn't making that throw and Russell can. But how long can you rely on that? You're in the NFC North. It's going to be a black and blue division. It is going to be beat you up inside and out. We're going to try to possess the ball, control the clock, and try to wear you down with an elite defense. That is where Russell Wilson is better.
The thing about this is, and I'm hard on Wilson and Fields because I don't believe in either of them at all anymore.
Haven't had a whole lot of reason to.
No. But Tomlin does need to bear some of the burden here, no matter what quarterback it is. And yes, they have had crappy quarterback after crappy quarterback after crappy quarterback outside of Ben Roethlisberger. There's no doubt about that. Their refusal to invest in a quarterback worth a damn is
Neil O'Donnell
is an intrinsic thing within the franchise. It's at the ownership level, it's at the general manager level, it's at the head coaching level. But they are so lockstep and in line of not deviating from what the culture of the city and of the franchise is, which is spend more money on defense than anyone else, spend no money on the offense to be where you're 9-8.
It's tried and true, though.
Look,
they don't go through the pits of hell like any other NFL
and those
franchise.
terrible towels, they keep selling, baby. And those jerseys, they keep selling. I can't believe I'm going to say this. The Pittsburgh Steelers might be the mark of mediocrity in the NFL right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Not 5-7 years ago, but for the last probably 5-7 years, they have been the mark of, okay, they're good. but you knew what there was nothing on their roster that said that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Now you can talk yourself into something stupid like Justin Fields being the one to be that guy.
And they do have, but the most
Or
important
Trubisky.
position in sports since Ben Roethlisberger left has been a massive void that they've tried to find the Band-Aid, find the reclamation projects, whether it's Mitchell Trubisky, now Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, whether it was drafting Kenny Pickett and keeping Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh, you know, the pride of Pitt Panthers comes and he gets to stay in his home stadium. They haven't found that guy yet. And I will give the Steelers a ton of credit because that model and that mold that they have defensively, they do draft well,
Incredibly well.
value, develop talent very well. They have gone out and gotten guys like Isaac Seumalo from the Philadelphia Eagles to help bolster their offensive line. They draft wide receiver incredibly well. When you
They turned
George
a former
Pickens,
Army guy into a All-Pro tackle.
yeah,
Like,
Andrew
yeah,
Villanueva.
it's not they just have
not
no
Andrew.
capacity to do anything with it pertains to wide receiver or quarterback.
Yeah.
Running back even they do well with.
Running back,
They
they've
shoot
done-
through them, but they do well with
I
them.
mean, wide receiver, they've done amazing. George Pickens, amazing. Pat Fryermuth at tight end, really good draft pick. Running back, you got Najee Harris. You've been able to draft. It is that position. And I
You had
think what
James
they're
Conner before that. Like
what
you
they
had
are
guys.
waiting on and what they're hoping for. Well, Le'Veon Bell, they've done incredible. But you have got a team that is sitting there saying, "We are that one piece away," and it's the most important piece of all of them, and that's that quarterback. And I think what we are seeing is, you said that the kind of the measure of mediocrity. That's a tough place to be because you're not going to be able to be in a position to draft that guy who can be that transcendent quarterback for your franchise if you don't take it in the chin for 1 year.
Yeah, and they refuse to. Whether it's Tomlin's consistent record of not missing the playoffs, was it 16 straight years now?
Well, being very well coached.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh, damn, we're just too well coached. We developed talent everywhere else, except for our quarterback.
But I genuinely wonder if they're just not willing, as a franchise, as a business, to just.
It's not in their DNA to do that. And this
Probably
is where
harming them. To
you
be honest.
have to find that diamond in the rough. And that's the most difficult thing to find is
because they haven't even found a viable quarterback.
no.
They haven't even scratched viable because it's been horrid.
And everybody wanted to blame Matt Canada, and plenty of reason to.
I mean, yeah.
But now you bring in Arthur Smith, and you're like, oh.
It turns out you need the talent back there.
You do need that guy back there. It's an interesting place to be in, but Russell Wilson will be playing in the preseason finale this weekend. This might be the year. This might be the year we see that step back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's not just because of anything that they're doing, because of how well run of an organization they really are. But I look at the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns.
That division, good Lord.
The world needs ditch diggers.
Yeah.
And your quarterbacks this year, they may be the ones that turn you into those ditch diggers.
I mean, look at that division. Look, Deshaun Watson is a different story, but Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I mean, your quarterbacks aren't even on Deshaun Watson's level.
Yeah. No. And Deshaun Watson,
Forgot how to quarterback.
he got broke between the years there.
Yeah.
Quarterback wise.
Because
and you know what? You hate to see it.
Yeah, I mean, terrible-
Couldn't happen to a better guy.
terrible human, but when he was with the Texans, was an incredible quarterback.
You're damn right. Maybe the Texans are they just got that quarterback juju going on.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud seems to be that dude.
Well, they sacrificed David Carr so that other quarterbacks could actually be good there. That's what that was.
Oh, so they just need to say maybe that's what Pittsburgh's doing. Is they're just like, all right, our sacrifices have got to pay off at some point. We've been sacrificing a lot of guys.
Well, the problem is they haven't sacrificed any good guys.
Yeah.
David Carr was a good guy.
All right. Well,
Got to really pay for it.
well, maybe that's why they brought Russ in.
I said good guys.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, he projects that very well.
Yeah, true.
All right. We got a little bit of local news going on. You broke this little story earlier.
Yeah, a little something.
Earlier today, and I think it needs a little bit of clarification and deserves a little bit of attention.
Sure.
Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
you ever been to a volcano?
Well, the Portland Trailblazers are about to do.
There's really good stuff.
Coming up in March, the Portland Trailblazers will honor the legend Bill Walton.
Big Red himself. There's going to be, I think, multiple instances this year where they're going to do something. I've seen a lot of people like, why haven't the Blazers had anything to say? It's like, well, they've got to get everything locked in, guys. And it's not a matter of not wanting to do something or not recognizing. Like, Bill and the Blazers have long since made up, and the relationship was really good before Bill passed.
Yep.
But they're going to have a remembrance night for him March 9th against the Detroit Pistons.
Why would they wait so long?
Yeah. Well, because Luke Walton, son of Bill Walton,
Oh.
who is named for Maurice Lucas, former Portland Trailblazer, is on the coaching staff with the Detroit Pistons.
Oh.
So he will be in town for that night.
Well, that might be some wishful thinking, though, because we know Detroit, they may just fire their coach by then, too.
They've already done that. They've figured that part of it
Teams
out.
never do that.
No. I would be surprised if they did that after just hiring a new coach, but you never know. But yeah, this is part of the events calendar that the Blazers are rolling out, and this one's gonna be, I think, a big deal.
I think that's awesome that they are, and as you said, they will have other ways to memorialize and remember Bill Walton, but March 9th to have Bill Walton night when his son is in town with the Pistons. I think it's fantastic to have that with his son in the arena. That's a nice touch. And look, let's not kid ourselves here. Blazers know that March 9th, when Detroit comes to town, not a lot of people are going to be interested in that game. But you add Bill Walton night to it.
Part of the great suck-off. Like that part of the schedule, that's part of the great suck-off. Like that's when the sucking really matters.
That matchup ain't burning anyone's britches there. So what they will do is remember Bill Walton on March 9th. And again, really cool touch. And first place I saw it was you this morning.
There you go.
And the Blazers sent out a little press release.
Indeed.
Celebration.
They have all kinds of nights coming up that they've released out for all of the months. And
October 27th, you have celebration of Hispanic and Latinx heritage.
Ooh. They usually bring in some vendors for that too. Like food.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's like, oh, what do we got up here?
I love that.
I love it when they do like the cultural nights and they bring in the food vendors. I'm always very, very into that.
You got Get Out the Vote night, November 1st.
Yeah, that won't be a busy night at all.
No. Native American Heritage Celebration will be November 10th. Military Appreciation Night, November 12th. Oh, hey, right after Veterans Day. I see what they did there. Pride Celebration presented by Jamba on December 6th.
Jamba presents so much for them now.
They do. Celebration of Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage on January 11th. Black History Celebration presented by Ticketmaster on February 1st against the Suns. And then HBCU to the Pros game on February 22nd against Charlotte.
That's a cool one.
That is a cool one.
Hopefully they do the
Women's History presented by Coke on March 16th.
The marching band again.
Yeah.
They brought in one of the
Those
HBC.
bands are
was
so
it
badass.
Florida A&M?
Florida A&M, Grambling State.
I think it was
both
A&M
have
that they brought in.
really good ones.
They brought
Southern
like
has an awesome one.
150 of them. And I literally sat in the stands pregame, 3 hours before tip-off. It was me and a couple of the Blazers content people just watching them smiling. It was just like, oh, this is going to be fun.
That's
and it
awesome.
was the reaction from the crowd was very predictable. Very white Portland, not used to seeing that much energy, I think. Is the first
that much energy.
The first song, they were kind of like, okay, this is cool. And then by the second song, they were into it. But like they just didn't know what to do with it at first.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, they'll get it. And then I think at the end they got a standing ovation. So
well, there we go.
Yeah, it was
All
right.
right. There's your celebration and theme nights for the Blazers for 2024.
Get them on your calendars.
Get them on your calendar. I'm really looking forward to March 9th.
I have a reeling suspicion they're going to do some cool stuff for Bill Walton night.
Okay. All right. Hour number 1 in the books. Let's head to hour number 2. We start the Rocky Mountains, head to the desert. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Hey, it's Suk, and summer is a time to
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Thursday afternoon. Thank you for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours. On the Fan, 99.5 HD2, Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, and you YouTube animals on youtube.com/1080am The Fan. Party on, party people. File this under, hey, this is fine. Everything's fine. Things are good.
You told me
We're
this,
fine.
and I was just like, the more you said, the more it became like a Mad Lib.
Yeah. So August 1st, which is not ideal, Colorado special teams coordinator Trevor Riley stepped down from his post. And as we are gearing up for the official start of the college football season, I think we've got now 9 days until that first Saturday slate is full of football games, and Colorado will kick off their season against North Dakota State. We have an article from Sports Illustrated, and Jeff Hauser and Jason Jones bring us this little nugget here, that Trevor Riley stepped down because he was at odds with the administration at Colorado. He says, there's no bad feelings between anyone with the program. This has to do with the Colorado's administration here. So this isn't Dion he's mad at.
So it just tells you that everything is, in fact, dysfunctional at Colorado.
Yeah. Or did the Colorado administration have a right to be like, what are you doing there, bud?
Sure.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no oversight or control here.
In a conversation with Sports Illustrated, Riley said, and I quote, the arrangement was that because I did all the NIL work at Jackson with Dion at Jackson State,
Yes.
And got us through, you guys would pay me a modest salary, make me the special teams coordinator, which would have freed up time for me to handle some of the NIL activities. He said that he wrote to administrators, you paid me $90,000 a year and let me handle special teams. I did all this work in your name and was told to pursue it. I burned through all my contacts in the Mormon community, which is worth about $3 trillion. Now I can't get these people to answer my phone calls because I just found out today that none of my endeavors will happen. I even went to Saudi Arabia and got a meeting with the Saudis who are interested in pursuing business. I have email receipts to prove it, and you guys let it fall flat on its face. During the holiday season, Trevor Riley went to Saudi Arabia and met with the Saudis to see if they'd be interested in the PIF. Remember Live Golf, anybody? Having the PIF bankroll Colorado's NIL.
I brought this up like 2-3 months ago about the idea of essentially it was when we had a Pat Chun on, when we had him on at UW, when we followed that up. There was the thing I brought up about the general idea of not only private investment, but the idea of schools, universities, programs turning public. And I don't mean like public facing universities. I mean as stocks, because that's the kind of thing you're talking about here. Like the Saudi investment fund is not going to just look at this as a bankroll and use it for advertising. They're looking at this as like an investment. This is a thing where if they're giving money to this, this is money that Colorado would then probably use to go buy land or properties or things that gain tangible interest and investment. And it basically becomes kind of sports washing, dirty Saudi money. Which
is exactly what the PIF does.
Yes. And this is going to happen one way or the other in the NBA and in the NFL. It's already happening in a loose fashion.
Well, the Saudi government holds stake in Chelsea, Newcastle United, Live Golf, Formula One, the professional tennis tour. They've got money
in sports
everywhere.
And the thing is, in their holdings, you'll never be able to prove it, but in their holdings, those companies have money in sports.
Yeah.
And that's a way for them to kind of get in those backroom deals. And the reason why the Saudis would even listen to somebody from Colorado is it's a Power 5 program that once you get in, you can get into one, you can get into another. And the big part about this is when you're talking about particularly these investment funds, the foreign investment funds, this is a thing that's been happening all over this country. And regardless of where you are politically, these funds are going around and they are buying up land.
Yes.
Like that is a real thing that is happening. And if you don't think that they're going to try to expose every possible loophole possible, like, oh no, we're just doing this as part of a NIL collective. It's like, well, then why do you own $3 billion worth of land?
Well, and I think this is the issue that Colorado and I think their administration takes exception to is we don't want to do business with them because they may be bankrolling us at the beginning. They're going to want their money back eventually.
Somehow.
And how do we repay the Saudi government their money and continue to bankroll our athletic department? I understand everything why an administrator, whether it's AD Rick George or their university president or their board of trustees, are like, no.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You want to have blood money, first of all, from the Saudis.
Yeah.
Because we know what it comes from. But now you want to get into that bed? Because once you get into it, there's no getting out.
No. And that is where I think colleges, public universities in the United States, I think they're going to stay away from this as much as they possibly can. Because think of that, man. Think of you are a public university, the University of Colorado, and you take money in grants and you take a lot of money from the United States government, and you're going to turn around and be like, hey, by the way, we're also taking money from the Saudi Arabian government in their public investment fund.
Mm-hmm.
That's where public universities, I think, no chance in hell.
The
this
private
ever
ones
happens.
can do this because their books are closed.
And how out to lunch is this guy to be like, you know what? That's it. The Mormon Church, which apparently he was reaching out to as well, that's going to be a ridiculously hard one to get past a lot of your boosters, boards of trustees, university president, stakeholders in the state of Colorado.
Not only that, Utah and then BYU, the Mormon groups have come together and given a truckload of money to BYU recently.
Yeah, wonder why they get a commitment from the top recruit in college basketball. Huh?
It's weird. They got 2 top 10 guys, the number 1 transfer and then a number 1 guy or a top 10 guy in this class. It's like
all of the walk-ons are now getting NIL deals.
Huh.
See, this is what, but little golf clap for outside the box thinking.
Yeah, like enterprising
I guess.
star here. I mean, like the guy got the meeting and went to Saudi Arabia and saw one of the princes of the sheikhs. Like,
but then you also go, yep, understand why he got forced out the door by the University of Colorado because they don't want to be tied up in that. And this is also another step of the dysfunction with the University of Colorado football program. It's coming hot and heavy from every single direction. All of the negative attention for the University of Colorado. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses. They know they need to keep up with the Joneses. That ain't the way to do it, boss. That was an eye-opener to see today.
well, here's the thing. Colorado's a mess at every level. A university that's not will pursue this. They will pursue this.
It won't be a public institution, though.
No, but
a public institution.
This kind of goes in
will
line
not.
with what I was talking about the other day with Tulane. Little private school all of a sudden that has an insane amount. And not only that, where's Tulane?
Nolans.
Okay, what's that part of the world famous for? Is it oil and all the
Oh, yeah.
pipelines
Yeah.
and everything else that's going down there? What are the Saudis? What is all their money from?
Yeah, I just
It would not. I would not. Again, I'm not saying Tulane, but it would not surprise me to see some private school go hell SMU, Texas. Just another if all of a sudden, because they don't have to open their books, but if all of a sudden they have more NIL than God, and I mean they become in the biggest swinging you know what on the planet, and in the sense of like,
But what's in it for the PIF? What's the Public Investment Fund, which is how they bankroll all of their sports and, as you said, launder their money.
to me it's land.
It's
It's land. That's
it's
what
land.
it is.
They get the land, but what happens with the sales of it? Like where the risk benefit of being one of these universities? You're gonna have to pay. They don't just give money away for free.
No.
Like we're learning this with all the live guys.
Yeah.
Who are like all of those contracts. They're
They're
not
unbreakable.
They're not the way
ironclad.
that we thought they were. They're not the way that they were portrayed to the public either. And all of a sudden, we get all this money up front, but now we don't get our winnings in the tournaments. So basically, we're playing all these tournaments for free, but we got our money up front.
Hey.
It's not always
No.
how it seems when you start doing these business dealings, because they're also in it for making money as
Yeah,
well.
because that investment fund is one of the most successful hedge funds on the planet.
Woof.
That to me is the thing that's in it for them. It's land. It's always that's what those investment funds. That's what they're doing all around the world.
And
They're buying up land.
At that point, the United States government comes in and they say, no.
It's happening all over the country.
No.
So
Yeah, and it's not just, Saudi Arabia,
no,
China too.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, China, a couple of the former Russian, couple of
Oligarchs.
the former Soviet Union nations.
Yeah.
That have dumb money. But yeah,
Hot damn.
it's
Okay.
crazy.
Man. Yeah, so another one. Quite the offseason for Deion Sanders. When do you think they start their buyer's remorse? I don't think they haven't hit that threshold
No, the
yet.
money's still coming in.
Money's still coming in.
Yes.
Attention.
Negative or otherwise, it's still there.
Yeah. And if they win games this year, we'll all be forgotten.
Yeah. I think so.
The misdeeds.
Because they went from in death, irrelevant. They weren't just bad, they were irrelevant.
Yeah.
There was nothing about that university.
It just feels like we've gotten to the point where that old adage of all publicity is good publicity.
That's not the truth.
That is not the truth, and we are seeing that is so outdated.
Yeah. Noah Lyles, take heed.
And we are now looking at Colorado. The shine is officially off, and the gloves have come off with everybody around it. And like we got this text on the Vancouver Ford text line. I'm going to hate watch and root against Colorado so hard this season.
Yeah.
They didn't get the money from the Saudis, by the way. They didn't, and that's what made this guy upset. Said administration let it fall flat on their face. I wonder why. I wonder why they would have gone, I'll be damned. You know what? Maybe this isn't somebody that we want here. Maybe not. All right, I got a little college football grab bag for you. Arkansas's defensive coordinator, he had a breakdown of the hotness in college football all last season. And we have the least expecting guy in college. Actually, second. He's second least, only to Dabo Swinney. The least expecting person has been suspended for tampering in the recruiting portal. Next on the Fan.
여자 밤이 오면 심장이 뜨거워지는 여자 그런 반전 있는 여자
You know, Psy's still making money off this song.
I mean, the royalties on it are insane.
Yeah.
Bumps, man.
All right. Iowa football coach Kirk Ferentz and assistant coach John Budmeier have been suspended for the season opener against Illinois State for a recruiting violation late in 2022. Ferentz stepped in it because Cade McNamara entered the transfer portal from Michigan and 3 days later committed to the University of Iowa. Which seems like a very quick decision there.
Right.
Especially when you're a quarterback. You're like, you know where I want to be?
Iowa.
So I think that was the first red flag that the NCAA saw. They were like, hey, wait a minute. Quarterbacks don't go to Iowa. Why would he want to go to Iowa? Well, Kirk Ferentz did something that Jim Harbaugh, Cade McNamara's former coach at Michigan, would never do, hasn't done, and won't do. He admitted to it.
I tell our players, we abide by the rules, and in this specific case, I did not do that. I made a mistake during the recruiting process. I want to apologize to our players, coaching staff, university leadership, and our incredible fans. 26 years as a head coach. This is the first potential level 2 violation that I've had, and it won't happen again. It's my plan to coach the team during the week, and as of midnight next Friday, I'll be removed for 24 hours. Won't be in the stadium with them, and so that's the plan. Seth Wallace will be the acting head coach during the day next week, Saturday. And I'm confident he and the entire staff will do a great job on that. Again, there aren't many details that we can really share, unfortunately, until this matter is closed. But I did feel it was important to stand up in front of all of you and acknowledge when I had done something wrong. Basically you face the repercussions, and then we'll move forward with our season, and that's our plan at this point. So, that being said, I just want to take this opportunity to ask Beth to say a few words.
How about that from Kirk Ferentz? He
I
owns
can't
it.
Talk about it was a little
Yeah.
weird in the sense of like, but you're talking about it right now, buddy.
Yeah, he started off with we tell our guys all the time we play by the rules, except for when I'm trying to get a quarterback to save our putrid offense. He owned something which he refused to own when his son was the defensive coordinator. Remember that? It was like, oh, well, all right.
Also, I will remove myself for 24 hours.
That is a stern punishment there. Whole 24 hours.
Whole 24 hours.
Against Illinois State. How about that? So he said tampering, yep, did it. Really doesn't panned out for us, but yeah, we did it. You got me. So good. We have another tampering case, and maybe Kalen DeBoer will be the next person to step up and have to give one of these apologies, because there was a kicker, and we got kicker tampering, and Chuck Martin is the head coach at Miami of Ohio. Did you know that? Cradle coaches, Miami of Ohio. He stepped up and he goes, "Hey, Bama, what's the deal?"
All right, special teams lost your kicker. Carter McLaughlin.
He's at. We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know
Yeah,
exactly.
I understand
We know exactly
that.
where he's at. Like you media people, it's all pretend. Like, no, Alabama stole our kicker.
Yes,
they
did.
illegally recruited
I didn't
our.
want to say it,
They
Coach.
illegally recruited our kicker and stole him from us, and like that's a fact. But that's college. But we act like it's not. We live in this la world. Like, hey, let's not talk. I don't know why
Here
everybody
we go.
knows what's going on. So, yeah, Alabama stole our kicker. A couple
got a good one right now.
other schools tried to steal it, but then okay. What's the
Let's
question?
talk
Yes.
Well, I mean,
yes.
in fairness, the year before, Alabama tried to steal Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo illegally.
Yeah.
So
Nick Saban admitted to it.
Said it on TV.
On the NFL's draft broadcast.
Yeah, well, we tried to go to Toledo and we tried to convince him to leave and enter the portal. It's like, Nick, that's the literal one thing you can't do.
The only thing you can't
How
do.
close is Toledo to Miami?
About pretty close. Well, Miami, Ohio. Very close. It's Maction, baby.
So look, man, Alabama's got a place that they know where they want to go steal people from.
Now, I've been criticized a lot for watching too much Maction football. And by too much, I mean any Maction football. But I do on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. I'll watch me some Maction. Are we starting to find out that, hey, by the way, a lot of talented players there. Bama tried to get the corner, couldn't get him. Graham Nicholson, the kicker for Alabama this year.
It's a 3-hour drive.
3-hour drive. My Alabama came and stole him away.
I definitely could not have told you where Miami, Ohio University was.
I have no idea where it is. I know Toledo's up north, and you said how long is it? 3 hours?
Yes.
So that means it's got to be like on the south end of the state?
Indeed, and it's right on the border with Indiana.
Okay. All right.
Well, and Toledo's literally up on the border with Michigan. So it's about damn near about as far apart as you can get in that state.
Huh.
So
Ohio, not a big state. Only 3 hours to drive across.
It's
surprise.
north-south. That's probably about the same to drive across, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Do we expect Kalen DeBoer to step aside for his week 1 opponent?
Who do they have?
I don't know. I know week 2 they have Wisconsin.
Yeah, they play somebody real north of the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, they will be going there. Yeah.
To Camp Randall.
They're going to Camp Randall, which is probably the big. Oh, they got Western Kentucky. Kalen DeBoer's not going to do that. No. And by the way, this was 2 years ago. So we're looking at 2026 is when Kalen DeBoer will step away for 24 hours when they play like the Citadel.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if they expedite this thing, maybe if they expedite the process a little bit, maybe it'll be like for their right before they play the Iron Bowl. Mercer. They got Mercer.
There you go.
They got Mercer wedged in between LSU and Oklahoma. Maybe that's when you can see Kalen DeBoer be like, you know what? I'm going to suspend myself for 24 hours, and it will be an hour after kickoff, and then my 24 hours will be up on that next Sunday. You know, that's how long I'm stepping away for. And really, it's a brilliant play by a head coach if he were to do it that way, because you get to go through the pregame warmups, you get to start the game as a coach, and then you just start breaking down that film for Oklahoma the next week.
I do love the Vancouver Ford text line. I cannot wait until the interim coach is in tears after beating Illinois State, screaming how he did it all for Kirk. Sharon Moore. For those that are, he was in tears when he stepped in for Jim Harbaugh.
And you know what? Like, everybody was shocked when, Michigan ran the ball the entire second half. Iowa fans will be like, that was a pretty standard second half of football we've had there. We didn't even throw the ball once. That was pretty standard.
They just completely open the offense up.
They just throw.
It was all Kirk Ferentz the entire time.
I guess the other guy's the receivers coach. Yeah. So it's like you get those two guys suspended for one game, and they just whip the ball around against Illinois State.
42 points. More points than they scored 6 weeks.
And then they have like a 14-9 win the next week, and they're like, yeah, we're back, baby.
I was back, baby.
We are back, baby.
All right, coming up next is our worst day on the web, and we're going to go to the other side of the world for, it's a terrible place. But first, it's a Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, multiple reports say the Mariners are expected to fire manager Scott Service and replace him with special assistant Dan Wilson, who played for Seattle from 1994 to 2005. The M's held a 10-game lead in the AL West on June 18th, and now trail the Astros by 5 games. Service had a record of 680 and 642 with one playoff appearance over nearly 9 seasons. Those Mariners heading back home, trying to regroup after a 1-8 road trip. They're off today, hosting the Giants for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The Astros start a 4-game set at the Orioles this afternoon. The Seahawks have traded cornerback Michael Jackson to the Panthers for rookie linebacker Michael Barrett. Barrett's a 7th-round pick from Michigan and played under head coach Mike McDonald during his lone season as Wolverines defensive coordinator in 2021. Falcons have signed cornerback A.J. Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million deal with $65.8 million in guarantees, the largest guarantee ever for a cornerback in a 4-year deal. The Eagles have acquired wide receiver Jahan Dotson and a 5th-round pick from the Commanders in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and 2 7th-rounders. Dotson figures to be Philly's number 3 receiver behind A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
In a world where things just, keep getting worse. I saw this and I was like, this has to be a joke, right? No, it turns out it's not. The Taliban has fired hundreds of police officers for failing to be able to grow a beard.
I'm here to tell you, I would have been fired from working at the Taliban if I didn't start before I was like 39 years old.
This is tongue-in-cheek terrible because us leaving Afghanistan, I don't care where you sit politically, us just leaving a giant power vacuum in Afghanistan created a whole heaping amount of problems.
Yeah.
Most of all being the Taliban is fully in charge of Afghanistan now.
They sure are.
And they are imposing Sharia law. And if you're wondering, what does that mean? Well, that means, according to their version of Islam and their Sharia law, that all men over the age of 18 shall have or be growing a beard that is longer than the size of a fist.
Wait, so like from your chin, you
Chin
got to
down.
go down and it's got to go that long?
Mhm.
I'd be fired. I'd be fired. I don't think I could do that.
They have fired barbers
So how,
all over the provinces that were giving cuts and cleans and trims because they felt it to be against Sharia law.
Really?
Indeed.
Now, when you say they couldn't grow them, is there like a thick level of thickness that you
No.
have to have?
No,
it's
it's
just
length.
like you could just have the scragglers. Because I could have done that, it just would have looked horrific.
Well,
but I could have kept my
Here's
job.
the thing. Even scraggly beard, look, this is going to sound mildly racist, but in that region, if you were from that region,
Okay.
the likelihood is even the scraggliest of beards is going to be more than most people can grow here. Just genetically.
Yeah.
You get a
Built
thick,
for it.
Yeah, you're built for it. It's
Yeah.
just that's just the way it goes. Now, you might be from another region of the world where, let's say, what people probably don't know is that there's a lot of Mongol lineage in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And in that case, not very hairy.
Yeah.
But if you're of more Arab descent, then yeah, you can grow it pretty easily.
Go a solid
Yeah.
beard.
I mean, honestly, they could grow some of the best.
Yeah.
It's a thick, hardy beard, only rivaled by Vikings.
So these guys just had the inability to grow that beard, grow that facial hair.
Yeah. Mohabullah Makulis, the director of planning and legislation at the Taliban ministry, told a press conference in Kabul that 281 beardless officers, wow, just be called out because you're beardless, were identified, confirmed,
I
and
feel for
dismissed
this.
from the country's security services.
Dang. Well, that sucks. That's a tough way to get fired.
Right?
It's like I didn't
Failure
show up.
to grow a beard.
I didn't show up late. I mean, I showed up every day. I worked hard. I was a really good police officer. Just couldn't grow that beard. Just couldn't grow that beard. That was it.
The hairstyles of 450 military mujahideen were corrected to comply with Sharia law as well, as some who repeated the hairstyle violation were sent to military courts to have it dealt with.
Like, do they give you like a time frame where you can grow this thing out? Or do you have to...
basically, if you're over 18...
It seems like a problem with the hiring process, to be honest.
Like, well, I mean, so particularly with the younger generation, unless you've been radicalized, maybe the wrong word, but I mean, as it pertains to the Taliban, it's not. You're growing that thing pretty soon.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have it, it means you've been kind of in conflict with Sharia law.
Oh, great.
And it's kind of paints a target on you.
I would like to, like, there's a lot to unpack here. This is, all of a sudden I laughed at the beginning and now I'm like, this is far more serious.
Oh, yeah, no, it is. And then they also, in the same press conference, they announced that they have destroyed 21,328 musical instruments as well. Not in compliance with Sharia law. Afghanistan! Why were we there?
What instruments can you not play?
I think there's only like 3 that are acceptable.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
They pull away from God.
The
Instruments, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you sit there and you're like, you know what? America's crumbling. You go,
Look, man, this is why
not
I
that
always,
bad.
when I argue with anybody who's right or left on the political spectrum, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no earthly idea of what it's actually like
And when
outside
you
this
get all
country.
fired up of something you see on Twitter, you're like, well,
Oh, my rights. You want to go somewhere where your lack of beard gets you fired?
yeah. Or
I don't care if you identify as he, him, they. Your facial hair will keep you from being employed.
That's absolutely right.
Or whether or not you like a
Damn.
guitar. Forget what sex you like. A guitar.
Yeah, probably that would suck. That would suck. And when you get fired up over something on Twitter, just be thankful that we live in a country where we can see that. Because a lot of places that you get all upset, and look, there's a lot of dumb people that fire off stupid tweets every day, all day,
It
and on social
feels like
media.
it's their job.
It really does. Some folks, you go, where do you find the time? You're up all the time firing this stuff off. But at least we live in a country where we have the ability to have that freedom
To
of
play
speech.
guitar.
And play the guitar.
Yeah.
Play guitar if you want.
Unlike Jalil Ahmad, a former guitar teacher in Herat, were counted to have morality forces. Yes, morality forces exist here. If you're not familiar with them, go Google morality forces in
like to
Iran.
keep morale down, not up.
Yeah, go check Iran and morality cops.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a great one. They stormed his home and beat him for owning several musical instruments. They knocked on the doors, and I saw them through the window. I told my family not to open it, but one of them climbed over the gate, jumped into the yard. He unlocked the door for 5 more officers to storm into the house. The police ransacked the house, discovered 5 guitars, where he was then arrested, taken to a police station, and was severely beaten.
Wow.
The morality force said the foreigners are gone and you cannot live with the devil's instruments anymore. They flogged him repeatedly and punched him in the face.
Well, you sure know how to bring down a mood here with this story. Goodness gracious almighty.
Right?
Yeah, this is the worst day on the web, though.
No,
that's pretty bad.
13,000 Afghans have been detained for immoral acts over the past year.
Goodness. Wow. Don't they have, how big are their jails? Where are they putting all these people?
No, they're pretty big.
13,000 people?
Pretty big.
Good Lord.
To be fair, we helped build a couple.
Well, yeah.
I had to process some folks.
And now they're just, all
running
those
the
people
country.
that got out are just putting other people in.
Yeah, they're
All right.
running things.
Let's see how that goes.
Not great. So that's your worst day on the web.
That's a terrible day on the web.
Right?
You weren't lying. Jeez.
You want me to brighten the mood a little bit?
I would hope. Yeah,
Want to hear from a little husky boy who's got some real feelings about the Raiders?
Dude, this was...
It's not me.
If I've never... young Danny was interviewed.
It was.
It was Time
Pretty close.
Machine Danny. He got it done.
We'll get to that more coming up here on Danny and Dusty, 10 to the Fan. Don't ever let it be said that realistic Raider fans don't exist. We are everywhere. We are legion. We are many.
God, excuse me. I had to puke as you were saying that about Raider fans. And you started puking when you said we're realistic.
Yeah, we are. We know. ABC 13, local in Las Vegas, was out in what appears to be the concourse of a Raider game at Allegiant, and finds a young man and asks him what he thinks of the Raiders this season.
If you're so into the NFL, you know your Raiders, I can tell right here. How are you feeling with the team this year?
We're not going to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
I already know it.
Nailed
I
it.
already know it.
We got a realistic Raiders fan here. This is odd. This is the first interview I've ever had like this. The Super Bowl chances are not good, but what is it going to take for the Raiders to have a successful season, you think?
Not to get arrested.
Okay, that's definitely an interesting one. I would agree with that. Yeah, getting someone in prison, that's going to hurt the chances.
You think?
I love how we went full news guy there.
hey.
Raw, yeah, don't go to
Yeah.
prison. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I love how you started the segment with we're realistic, us Raider fans. And then the guy doing the interview is like, whoa, a realistic Raider fan. This is odd. The guy who covers the team in Vegas is like,
I've never had this before.
What is happening here? Danny's like, no, we are
Oh,
realistic.
we are realistic. The problem is when you talk to the other ones, they can't enunciate words, so it's just a lot of screaming and grunting.
Yeah, that is true.
A lot of ooga booga and.
I will say that
Very
young
angry.
man was very, very similar to you.
Mm.
You do start out the season just dejected.
Yeah.
Every year you're like, we're not going to be it. And then they start like 2 and 3 and you're like, hey, I see a path to 10 and 7. We could be a playoff team.
They could find a way.
They could find a way. We're only 1 game under 500 and we're 3 games into this thing. We could do it.
Look, if they're going to suck, just find a way
We're
to
5 into it.
to
We
make,
got this.
to make the Chargers and Broncos miserable too. Like they're not going to beat the Chiefs, but you can take both games to the Broncos, like last year. Suck it, Broncos.
I think the kid's right though. No arrest is probably
That's the bar.
That's the bar for
I mean,
you.
we talked to the head of HR for the Golden Knights, and I asked her about that when we had them on a couple weeks ago at PDXYZ. The idea of how difficult it is to kind of navigate that particular hurdle in Las Vegas, and she went from happy-go-lucky fun to let me put on my HR pants real quick. Yes, there are some unique challenges that come with operating a franchise in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, set that bar low. No arrest is a good way to start, and then you'll come in here one morning. Monday morning you'll come in and you'll be like, hey, I think they got a shot. And I'm going to have to be like,
I don't, though.
They don't.
They don't have the quarterback. Again, we played the game. Name somebody on their defense not named Max Crosby, and it was very difficult.
You got a Jones at corner.
There you go. Jack Jones. I'm bad.
There we go.
Robert Spillane, which sounds like a made-up name.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the guy that wrote the Mike Hammer book series?
Yes. Same guy.
Was that like a...
Mickey Spillane.
Is that a graphic novel?
Well, there was a TV show based
idea.
on it. Yeah.
Mike Hammer?
Yeah.
Mike
I think
Hammer?
that was Stacy Keach.
Somebody's
just
plumbing
making up names
break?
now.
Was the cable out?
Yeah, he was like a private detective.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer.
Oh, right. Yeah. How many stepmoms were in that TV series?
I'm here to check your pipes.
That's a different show. It's not on network TV.
All right, Mike Hammer, huh?
Yeah.
Well, they are not going to be great this year.
No, they're not.
They're going to have hope. So what is
I
the
don't think there
realistic
is-
goal that you have for your Raiders this year?
I have wanted them to suck horribly for some time now, and they keep doing this thing where it's like, nah, we're not going to be the worst.
All right, so if...
It's like you know this, going into this past year,
Yeah.
I
Raider
wanted
fans
them
know
to
this.
be the worst team in the league.
You sure did.
I wanted them to be the absolute worst team in the league, and I wanted them to have the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams. That's where I was. Right now, I'm like,
You would be so insufferable if that happened.
Oh God, if Caleb ended up in Las Vegas,
You would have
yeah.
been
Oh,
just
God.
we would have been like, oh my gosh, we can't talk about him.
Mhm.
We couldn't talk about
It
it.
would've
I
been
mean, you
tough.
would have found a way to do it. We would have been talking about like the Olympics, and you'd have found a way to go from pole vaulting to Caleb Williams, Raiders. You would have found a way to
Yeah.
do it. I am
not getting stuck on the pole.
so happy that happened.
No.
and the Raiders were
Wow.
were good enough.
Wow. You
I
want to deprive
really
me
am.
of that?
Well, I
Rude.
think for everybody's sanity,
Wow.
Danny, you would have been insufferable.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely insufferable.
I would have been insufferable. I would have been insufferable. Not insufferable. I would have been insufferable.
No, it wouldn't have been. It would have been like the Randy Marsh meme all season long.
Wheelbarrowing everywhere.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. There would have been a pathway to 17-0 for you right out the gate. Been like, no, I see it. It's right in front of us right
If I
here.
squint, it's there.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes doesn't stand a chance in the AFC West. It saved us all from that.
Have you seen this
So-
guy? This is the guy that everybody says is the next Patrick Mahomes.
The
but
thing
he's
I
better.
don't want for you, though, is I don't want them to do it this year.
With
And
Shedeur
you,
Sanders.
yes, I
Oh,
don't want to
God.
see you. I don't want to see you suffer at all.
I'm trying to.
I just don't want to see you insufferable.
I'm trying to think which quarterback would be the worst possible outcome for me going into next year. If it's Shedeur,
I don't want
or
that for you.
Carson back.
Daryl Doucette.
Daryl Doucette,
Yeah.
5'7".
5'7".
Well, but he does have a higher football IQ
higher
than
IQ.
Patrick Mahomes.
Did you guys
so-
see the video making the rounds today of him throwing? You know, Patrick Mahomes can't do that. The guy has the worst throwing motion. It looks like me trying to throw a football.
But okay, it's you don't get it, bro. You're not about
It's all
that
about
flag
IQ.
football life. All right? You don't have it. I wonder in this I understand what this guy was going for because he wants to be an Olympian and flag football is his life.
And it's going to get taken from him because NFL washouts are going to take it from him.
Yes.
Let alone NFL stars. Like, don't worry about Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow.
No.
Worry about the D3 guy.
No, worry about Justin Fields when he doesn't have a team next year and he's like, well, I guess I'll win a gold medal. And he will.
Yeah. Because in that environment, Justin Fields is a god. I run a 4.440 and I have a howitzer for an arm. Good luck.
Yeah. Just because he can't throw against NFL defenses doesn't mean he can't throw against Croatia.
Yeah. Yeah, Luka Samanic out there is not going to be the problem that you have to worry about.
No.
It's like, let's chill on this.
He's
for a
going to
little bit.
dice up Qatar pretty easily.
Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of height.
No.
They
No.
got some distance runners.
No, but the Daryl Doucette guy, I feel for him because he was like, I know that I'm a really good flag football player. And he is a great flag football player.
Sure.
But then he said
Is
something.
he better than you and I? Sure.
He said something so wildly dumb that people are stopping paying attention to the Australian breakdancer, and we're like, okay, new target.
Yeah.
And that I feel bad for.
Yeah, because my God, Ray Gun should be the target of all of your hatred.
Yeah. And there's the breakdancing community is now rallying around her.
No.
Yeah, dude.
Why?
Because they're saying
she's a terrible person.
there are people in the breakdancing world that do agree with her artistic approach to it. If you can't physically beat them, be an artist.
No.
Yeah, dude.
No.
And look, this is such
literally
a
every other sport. No.
But this
no.
is you're talking about a super niche community, right?
Mhm.
In a niche sport. We see the gatekeeping. You know that right or wrong, they will protect their community.
Good Lord.
And it is so small, and they saw all of breakdancing was given a bad name
Because of her.
Well,
Dogpile her. Shame her.
But
No.
what the thing that they do is they keep that gate,
No.
and she is one of theirs.
Open the gate and let the dogs of war find her.
Yeah, I know.
That's what they should be doing. They should
But
be
now-
naming and shaming and blaming her for everything, not protecting her.
And that's where they're going with now that what you just described is cyberbullying.
Nah. It's reality. Name, shame, blame. Move on to the next.
Yeah. So that
She is
that
the
movement
reason
has
why
started.
breakdancing is no longer an Olympic event.
Yeah. Well,
Singularly.
it was a one and done. It was France's, hey, this is the sport we want. Just like flag football is going to be one and done in 2020.
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Had it been cool, it had an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know,
It did.
Like if you had a bunch of absolute, if you had the.
Well, that's like trampoline. Trampoline was, I think, in the Sydney Games. Maybe that was the first time, but it was like everybody's like, okay, whoa, trampoline, and then we were like, whoa,
This is cool.
that's wild. Look at that.
Yeah. And if you had actually had people out there who were like genuinely good breakdancers,
Well, they did.
Well, no, I mean,
They
like,
had a lot of them. And I think that's why the breakdance community should be upset
Yes.
is because the fact that all of the good dancers got
zero
overshadowed
coverage.
by quite possibly the worst dancer.
Yes, not quite. It's the worst dancer.
Dude, it was Elaine Bennis bad.
I mean, the memes and gifs that have come out of that, the kangaroo pose,
Yeah.
the lean back was just
Where they put her on the front cover of Where the Wild Things Are.
yes, because it's very much that motion.
Yeah. And it was less styled than Thriller, where they did that
Yeah.
same thing, but pulled it off.
But like with rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, well, that's why it's not break dancing, it's breaking, okay?
Yeah, the as bad as the Where the Wild Things thing, Where the Wild Things Are pose was.
Yeah.
It's the bend over and touch your toes thing. The side to side worm. That was the one that was like,
Which the windshield wiper is fantastic.
oh my god, that windshield wiper is.
Somebody has a
Whoever came
very
up with
bright
that
mind.
first, kudos to you.
It was very well
I
played.
I would put that on my car if I had a rear windshield
Yeah.
wiper because it is hilarious.
So this texture says, "Oh, so I don't suck at singing. It's just my artistic impression of singing." Yeah,
Yes,
dude,
and
that's it.
See, this is what
That's
I'm
how
talking
you express your art.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. No, there's a
Yeah.
level.
That's what they're. That's what they're
Name
saying.
and shame people, particularly children, so
Yeah.
that they never, ever, ever have the hope of being successful.
Wow.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah. Damn.
All right, coming up in hour number 3, we continue our our college football rivalry.
Anyways,
trophy.
that kid was right. The Raiders are not going to win the Super Bowl
there you
this
go.
year.
The hell of a squirrel moment. All the way over to Ray Gunn. Our college football rivalry trophy, round of 32, continues next here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. Number 3 here on a Thursday afternoon on Danny and Dusty. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 AM The Fan, or twitch.tv/1080 AM The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful day. If you're watching on youtube.com, you saw the little sneak behind the curtain. Jeff Sacramento in here. Just cluing us in on some stuff for work, and suddenly getting off to such a random tangent that I was showing him that there is actually a Pizza Hut within blocks of the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Yeah, you're watching ancient military show on the History Channel right now.
The baseball game we had on got over, and it was A's and Rays, and I refuse to watch that level of baseball.
It's a great game. There's tens of people in the crowd.
I refuse to support John J. Fisher.
Well, I'm not supporting him. I'm supporting the Rays. I'm supporting the Athletics. I'm an Athletics supporter.
Yeah, you are.
I am an Athletics supporter.
Athletic supporter?
Yep. I support them. I hope that they, in their white shoes, go and win the World Series.
Dusty the jockstrap.
Yep. I'm a jock. A radio jock. Disc
Multiple
jockey.
ways. But yeah, long story short, I had a baseball game on, and there was nothing else on, so I went.
You went military history.
Well, I just went like the first military building documentary that was on.
Yeah, look at that. As one always does.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't do that?
It's visually appealing in the background.
It is.
I just had to put on something. All right, it's time now for our College Football Rivalry Trophy Edition. Our matchups. We're in the round of 32. Yesterday we have our winners. Dun, 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 dun. 8 entered, 4 will leave.
Bum, bum, bum.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have an upset.
Oh.
We have an upset. I think our first real upset of this round.
Tell me more.
The first matchup featured the Purdue Cannon against the Beehive Boot. The Beehive Boot pulls out the win, 57-43. That's, I figured that's how that one would go.
It's a tiny cannon.
It's a tiny cannon.
It's a tiny little cannon.
Where it got a little sideways, perhaps. The Keg of Nails, Cincinnati and Louisville against the Heartland Trophy of Iowa, Wisconsin. The Heartland Trophy is victorious.
Oh, come on.
The Keg of Nails has gone down.
But, I mean, it's a big old golden, anatomically correct bull that Iowa and Wisconsin play for, which is very fitting. It's very fitting. But the Keg of Nails, that's such a cool trophy.
It feels like a 1 seed getting upset.
By another one in the second round, which is weird.
It happens. Our next matchup features the Bayou Bucket of Rice in Houston against the Milk Can Trophy of Boise State and Fresno State.
Thank you. The people have spoken.
60-40.
A kicker will not see his way through to the Sweet 16 of our bracket.
The big shiny Milk Can of Boise State will move on.
That's right.
And the saddle against the Magnolia Bowl, TCU, Texas Tech, and LSU Ole Miss. This was maybe the most thorough butt kicking of any of these matchups. And it's really not fair because the Magnolia Bowl is a nice little trophy.
It was a rout.
But it was beaten 87-13. The saddle moves on.
All right. And the saddle should move on. It's a great, great trophy.
I think the saddle's a Final Four contender.
Yeah, Texas Tech and TCU, baby.
Now, keeping it in Texas, well, at least a little bit, UTEP and New Mexico State Silver Spade is going to take on the Jefferson Epps Trophy of Florida State and Virginia.
Now, Jefferson Epps, again, this was the mayor. It's not Jeffrey Epstein's trophy that Florida State and Virginia play for. It's the Jefferson Epps. It looks like, I don't know, kind of looks like the claret jug a little bit. This is Silver Spade, in my opinion. You have New Mexico State and UTEP. They don't have much to play for. The Silver Spade is it. These are two not great programs, but they play for a really damn cool trophy, and it is a shiny shovel. And if you've ever been to eastern New Mexico or West Texas, a silver shovel is exactly what those schools should play for.
It is pretty on brand.
Yep.
Let's be honest. Our next matchup features the Battle of I-75 of Bowling Green State against Toledo against the Little Brown Jug of Michigan and Minnesota.
This is going to be another rout.
This is going to be
it should be Little Brown Jug is a clear winner here. Remember, the Little Brown Jug came because Michigan's coach
didn't want his
Fielding
water
Yost was afraid Minnesota was going to poison their water on the sideline, so he's like, we're bringing our own, and now they play for it every year.
Which makes sense because, well, Minnesota's terrible. That's what the thing with, in doing the research of all these trophies, the one thing you and I have come to conclude, Minnesota, terrible place.
Terrible people back then, too.
Hey, you can leave the back then off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll give people from Minnesota a little bit of grace. They gave us Prince. So, I mean, that's changed
Yeah,
since then.
I guess.
He's dead.
So then we're back to them.
No, it's just okay.
They took Prince from us.
What other celebrities are from Minnesota? Isn't that where Josh Duhamel is from?
North Dakota.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah. All right.
North Dakota gave us
we
one
have
of them Odas.
We have Josh Hartnett, Bob Dylan,
that's not helping.
Lindsey Vonn.
A skier?
Yep.
So a skier grew up in a place that you can't ski.
Yep. Okay. Mark Webber. He's an actor in the movie Snow Day.
Oh, I thought you were, let's say he was like the inventor of Weber grills.
Oh, Sean William Scott. Stifler. Yep. Look at that. Peter Krause. Yeah. They don't have... Boy, Minnesota. Rachel Lee Cook. Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
a hot.
Yeah.
Yep, she's a hot.
I take it back.
Yeah. I think Minnesota...
They win with that.
She is... It's a smoke show.
Yeah.
And Bob Dylan.
Yeah, that's not helping.
Oh, Larry Fitzgerald? Does that do anything
that
for
helps. You probably can't find somebody who dislikes Bob Dylan more than me.
You? Oh, really?
Very much not a Bob Dylan fan. There's that new biopic coming out about him, and I just had zero interest in it.
What about Cole Aldrich? Big man. Went to Kansas.
The guy who wore lifts at the NBA Combine?
Did he really?
Yeah.
Good for him.
That's why they make him take their shoes off now.
You know what? Great for him.
Great.
Lonnie Anderson.
Okay.
She's also from Minnesota.
It's not a prestigious list, though. But Rachel Lee Cook.
Oh,
does help.
Jessica Biel.
Oh, okay. The list.
How is she not higher on
way
this
higher.
list? Like, she should have been, like, top billing,
Yeah.
Jessica Biel. This is an upset. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay.
They're
Rachel Lee Cook,
they're
Jessica Biel,
back.
I've
They're
changed.
back.
Yeah, okay.
Minnesota's back in a big way. They got the hots.
Oh, speaking of back in a big way, the Fremont Cannon, the biggest cannon on the list of Nevada and UNLV, is taking on the oil can of Fresno State and San Diego State.
This is tough. I don't even know which way I'm going to vote yet. I don't know which way I'm going to vote.
I will tell you, it's very one-sided right now.
The cannon.
Yep.
Yeah. It is a big cannon. Big cannons get me going, so I'm going to go with the Fremont Cannon there. UNLV, Nevada. The oil can is just a solid one.
It's a
And
great
if you remember the history of that one, Fresno State and San Diego State play for this because somebody in San Diego found on a beach an old oil can that was from Fresno, and they're like, you know what? Football's playing for this now. Them's the breaks.
It's like old school. And like, hey, you bring your green hat.
Yeah.
That's the level of intrigue that went into this.
Snoop-a-loop. Bring you and your green hat.
Wrapping up today's edition, the Apple Cup of UW and Washington State taking on the Golden Cannon of Central and Western Michigan.
Yeah, they had an upset in the first round.
They should die here.
They should not. I don't think so. I think they win. This is another mini cannon. I'm anti mini cannon, but the mini cannon is winning 52% to 47%
It is
in the voting.
Bigger mini cannon.
Okay.
So it's not the smallest of cannons.
All right.
If it was a bowl of porridge, perhaps it would be just right.
I'm a cannon lover. Oh, Judy Garland also from Minnesota.
The Dame?
Yeah, no, that's Judi Dench.
Oh.
No. Wizard of Oz?
Not a Wizard of Oz guy.
Come on.
I'm surprised Jeff Russ didn't immediately flip his mic on there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is.
How many times have you watched the original Wizard of Oz?
A lot.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
I've got 2 kids now too, so you know.
One was good enough for me. Also, they're making a new version, or a new version has come out already, and boy, does it look like it sucks.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, about the about how she became the Wicked Witch.
Yeah, boy, does it look like it. Oh, it looks terribad.
Terribad.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah, it's not too much.
We should go into that. All right. I'm still looking. Looks like a lot of hots come from Minnesota, though. Good for Minnesota.
They leave, though.
Well, yeah, it's cold.
I can confirm. It gets very, very, very cold there.
Yeah. It's not a very distinct. It's a lot longer list than Oregon's list of famous people. We don't churn out a lot of famous people here. You know?
No.
And I mean, nobody like Judy Garland or Prince. Winona Ryder.
The little thief.
Minnesotan. She's got those sticky fingers and a hat. All right.
I like where this is going.
I mean, I'm just going to keep naming people. Kevin Sorbo.
Wow.
Kevin Sorbo? Terrell Suggs? That's a good one.
Hmm.
That's a really good one. Leah Thompson. Oh, Minnesota's a winner now. I love Leah Thompson. Back to the Future.
There you go.
Yeah. Big Leah Thompson fan.
All the right moves.
All the right moves. Let's go.
All right, well, you want to keep it in some college football?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, we got a bunch of audio and a bunch of little news and notes to hit some college football.
Steve Zahn from Minnesota.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
And through the next break, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll just keep naming names.
You can do it.
Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Paul Bunyan.
It's the Fan.
You know MacGyver is from Minnesota?
The list of fictional characters from Minnesota, quite substantial.
Rocky and Bullwinkle, Ben Wyatt from Parks and Rec, Pillsbury Doughboy, Betty Crocker, Jolly Green Giant.
Were they created there, or does their backstory have them from Minnesota?
That's where their backstories are from, and I think that like Pillsbury and like they were from based out of Minnesota. But Rose from the Golden Girls, Minnesota. That's where before she moved to Florida. Rose.
I mean Snowbird.
Russ.
St. Olaf.
What?
St. Olaf, Minnesota.
No
St.
kidding.
Olaf. You knew exactly where she was from. Rust was literally leaving the studio. He heard me say that and ran back to his mic so he could make sure he got that in. St. Olaf, Minnesota.
And St. Olaf is a speck.
Yeah.
In Minnesota.
All right.
It is like a square piece of land. If I'm not mistaken, yes, it is on the way to Minneapolis from Grand Forks.
All right.
You drive right past it.
Okay.
And it's quite literally a township. It's not even a city.
All right.
So there you go. You want to talk some college football?
Yeah, I do. I've gone through every famous person in Minnesota, so I'm happy to talk college football now.
And there's a couple hots from there.
More than a couple.
Couple hots.
Golly. Jessica Biel. Yeah, let's talk college football. What do you got?
The Golics both junior and senior.
Yeah.
Both very high on the Oregon Ducks and what they've done this offseason and kind of what's going to happen for the Ducks this year.
Ohio State, Dad, plus 155 to win the Big Ten, ahead of Oregon at plus 200. And at this point, I feel less and less good about it with every day because Ohio State, they got all those guys to come back on defense. They got Chip Kelly over. There's so many reasons to believe. But Will Howard and what his ceiling looks like and that offensive line and how much Chip Kelly can get out of that group that was good but not college football playoff elite last season are what have me picking Oregon to win the Big Ten right now, who's also dealing with a transfer quarterback coming in Dylan Gabriel, but solidified on both sides of the ball in terms of coordinators that are going to be there. The offensive line, again, going back to when Mario Cristobal has been there, the trenches have been built the right way in Oregon. And so I think they have a chance to come in. They host Ohio State, too. I think that's a big factor in this. Ohio State goes out to Eugene to play in Oregon, which is a tough environment to play in. So I'm picking Oregon to win the Big Ten.
I think Oregon is offensive heavy, and I think Ohio State is defensive heavy. So that should tend to lead to a hell of a matchup when they play in Oregon. So another team that could potentially play 3 times in the season, regular season, Big Ten championship, and then the playoffs. But I think that's a good pick with Oregon. I really do.
Does this scare you at all? That then enough people are genuinely going, I could see Oregon.
No, and it shouldn't, because that's kind of what they want at this point, right?
Mhm.
Like, gone are the days of the shucks, it's just Oregon. No, they have expectations, and they need to live up to them at this point, right? Like, in Lanning isn't afraid, and he's not hiding behind, it takes a lot. That is what Dan Lanning has tried to cultivate at Oregon, and now it is finally happening. So I think that is a different. That's a different way of thinking about this. I think if you were to go back to Mark Helfrich or Chip Kelly or Mike Bellotti, or you go all the way back to Richard Brooks, that would have been like this is a scary proposition now that the expectations are so high.
Mm-hmm.
But they've recruited at a ridiculously high level. They've gone into the transfer portal and filled a lot of holes. I think that's where within that program, and I haven't gotten this out of him, but you hear Dan Lanning talk about it. Like, that's where they are. And the players are saying, we want to come to Oregon to win a national championship, develop ourselves, get to the NFL. And when you talk about that and you preach that's why you're there, that's where the expectation should be, or you're falling a little short of that. I also think that this is a unique time in college football too, where would this conversation be happening if Jim Harbaugh was still at Michigan? I don't think so. Even with the turnover in talent, because they would be the defending national title winners, they would have one of the best coaches in all of college football, and it would be they're restocking the shelves. There is a little bit of a vacuum here, and I think that a lot of the reason why Oregon is getting hype to win the Big Ten is because of the national narrative around Ohio State's head coach in Ryan Day, who's really good against top 10 teams outside of the top 10, but against top 5 teams, he is not very good.
Particularly ones named Michigan.
And I think when you have a coach, and look, I understand Dan Lanning is what, 1-3 against his rivals at this point. Okay.
That's the questions and criticisms that will come with that.
But that hasn't become a national narrative.
No.
And it hasn't been a national narrative of Oregon can't win the big game, because he is still entering only his 3rd year as a head coach. Ryan Day escaped all of that because he played for a national title early in his tenure as a head coach at Ohio State. Now it has gotten to that point, though, of, okay, can Ryan Day be the guy to win the big one? There are questions about Oregon. Sure, absolutely. They've not been on this stage and had this kind of notoriety and hype around them ever. Of a program. Now, they've played for 2 national titles,
but the hype behind them was not, I think, nearly as believable as
because
it is now.
there wasn't a belief that Oregon could sustain.
No.
After going to national championship games, it's like, I don't know if they can do it. Now you lose Bo Nix, okay, to the NFL. You lose Brandon Dorlus. You lose Troy Franklin. You lose Bucky Irving. You lose Jackson Powers Johnson,
and you're looked at as a better team.
And you're looking, and I think that has a lot to say about I think, the flux of college football too, in that NIL and the transfer portal have made it so teams can't just stockpile talent and hold on to it. The playing field has been, it's not leveled, but the mound has been tamped down a little bit.
Yeah, you don't have a fortress at the top of the hill where 10 teams are sitting and everybody else is trying to figure it out. There's a little bit of it's a zigzag path to get up now.
And that roster is really damn talented of players who have done it, and they've done it at several places too.
And a big part of that is what Golick Sr. addressed and why he is looking at Dylan Gabriel as a Heisman favorite.
I guess just like the NFL MVP, this is kind of like it's a quarterback award. So it kind of skews that way to me. It kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But I understand it's the most important position on the field. Really, there's probably 2 non-quarterbacks that you would put it as. I didn't see the list that was up there, but I would imagine Travis Hunter and Ollie Gordon, the running back from Oklahoma State, have to be 2 of the non-quarterbacks that are up there. Other than that, it's going to be
the first non-quarterback on the board is Travis Hunter. He's at plus 500 right now, just behind Penn State's Drew Aller at quarterback. And then behind him, it's Cade Klubnik at Clemson. And then you get to Quinshon Judkins at Ohio State, Ollie Gordon at Oklahoma State is the other non-quarterbacks that are up on that list. Yes.
And won't be a defensive player. As Jesse mentioned, Charles Woodson, 97 was the last one. I think Ndamukong Suh got ripped off, and he should have been one. But you're not going to get a defensive player to win. So I do think it's at the quarterback, and I think I guess as comfortably as can be with kind of the number of people involved. I think Dylan Gabriel is the favorite and should be the favorite. I think he's going to put up some big numbers. So I would definitely have him as my number one.
The interesting thing about this is twofold. One, how the state of quarterback play in college football this year, it's good. Don't get me wrong. Dylan Gabriel is going to be a good player. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a good player. Carson Beck is going to be a good player. There's plenty of guys. Cam Ward in Miami is going to be a good player.
There are a lot of. I think there's a lot of great college quarterbacks.
Yes, and that's the thing is this is a down year for the NFL quarterback. I'm not a Shedeur guy, but there's plenty of people who think that he is. But outside of him, it's Quinn Ewers, and then you start squinting pretty heavily.
Oh, Carson Beck. I mean, Carson Beck is big, strong, quick release, gets the ball out quick, makes decisive decisions. Kind of Bo Nixian, in that ball is out of his hand very fast and tight windows, accurate.
But it also, I think, it makes for, I don't want to say less compelling in the Heisman Trophy, but it doesn't feel like, and it's felt like this, I think, for a while, that there isn't somebody that's taking over the landscape. There's no Tebow, there's no Bush, there's no Mariota. Who was the last one? Burrow?
Yes.
Burrow's probably the last one we had. You can, yeah. Caleb probably ginned up the closest thing we've seen to it since then, but the team wasn't as good.
No, they were irrelevant.
Yeah.
They were irrelevant as a team, so
it didn't have the same juice.
No, but he was exciting to watch, and everybody thought that last year would have been the year where, all right, he brings USC back from the ashes. Their defense got in the way though.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't Bryce Young or Devontae Smith. It was Burrow. Kyler Murray did that. Baker Mayfield.
Baker is the one I was going to go with if it wasn't Burrow.
Definitely did that. It wasn't Lamar Jackson, as exciting as he was. He played at Louisville, and nobody really knew.
Those final 4 weeks were crazy because of how nuts he went. But beyond that.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's
been a while.
It's Baker, Burrow.
Yeah.
Mariota had that effect on people because they were good and he was eye-popping. Jameis Winston and Johnny Manziel back-to-back. I mean, you had a good run there where you went on a run from Cam Newton, RG3, Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Those guys all took college football by storm. We have not had, to your point, we are not on that run. No. And I don't know when we will be because a lot of it was built on name. They built a name for themselves, and then the brands that they played for had massive recognition. And NIL, you would think, would harness
bolster that. Yeah. It hasn't. I think that you're getting kids that are coming into college now that are a brand, and part of that brand is to be as bland as possible. Because think about everybody you just named off with the exception of Marcus. Every single one of those dudes is insane.
Yeah, and they had their baggage at times.
You know what I mean? Cam, Jameis, Baker, Johnny.
Yeah.
I mean, those
RG3 didn't at the time, but sure does now.
Sure, but he was electrifying.
Yeah, and he was world-class speed at quarterback.
And so
it was special.
The other part of this, and again, not to go too long in this, was I wish that same difference maker could hold true on the defensive side of the ball again. I just don't.
And Ndamukong Suh got robbed.
Yeah, he did. But like, it would be great if a Charles Woodson. Let's use Will Johnson at Michigan. Just use the Michigan.
Well, Travis Hunter. Use Travis Hunter.
Yeah,
They're not going to win enough, but
that's
Hunter.
why I kind of went with Will Johnson. I
Yeah.
think they had the potential to win enough.
Sure.
Let's say he has like a 14 interception season and returns a couple kicks.
Yeah,
And you're
I
just
mean,
like-
we also forget that Charles Woodson got the Heisman bump when he played receiver too.
Yeah,
They
and
put him in at
returned,
receiver,
yeah.
and he was make no mistake, he was a corner and a kick returner.
Mhm.
But when they put him in a receiver, they're like, "Oh, he's a guy that can do it all."
And he had a couple special plays.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Be interesting to see if Hunter can capture some of that magic. Maybe not win one, but
I don't think people would root for that though.
I would say, do you think a world exists where he could win a Heisman?
I do. It would
Just
it
be
would be
so dynamic on both sides of the ball.
The world is if Colorado goes 8-4, 9-3, 10-2, which I don't see
No.
happening. But that right there would be how it happens, because if they are that good, people
It'd be
will talk
because of
about
him.
them. The negative attention will turn into positive attention. It would be because of him and Shador, even though Prime would make you believe that it was all about him. But it would be Shador and Travis Hunter would be the reasons why they win that. And that's where you would get Travis Hunter bump. And the thing that sucks for him, though, is that Shador would probably peel off a couple of votes, his own teammate.
Sure.
If that happened.
Okay, that's fair.
You know,
I
but
just-
I want it to
it's like,
happen.
You know what I mean? Just something different. I'm just
Yeah.
To Mike Golick Sr.'s point, I'm tired of it being a quarterback award.
Oh, or best, like they're like, oh, we don't know who to give it to. I should probably give it to the best player on the best team. No, to hell with that.
Give it to the best player in college football.
Give it to Toby Gerhart.
Yes,
damn it. In 2025, give it to, or 24, give it to Toby Gerhart.
Posthumously, he's not dead.
I mean, career-wise, though. Yeah,
Career dead.
Yeah, career dead. And Stanford program. No, wait,
Well,
that's
well,
rude.
no,
They're in the ACC.
I mean, might as well be dead. Coming up next, speaking of dead, are the Commanders dead in the water? But first, here's the Big Kahuna with Sports Center Update.
You ever had a big kahuna burger?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, multiple reports say the Mariners are expected to fire manager Scott Service and replace him with special assistant Dan Wilson, who played for Seattle from 1994 to 2005. The M's held a 10-game lead in the AL West on June 18th, but now trail the Astros by 5 games. Service has a record of .680 and .642 with one playoff appearance over nearly 9 seasons. Mariners are heading back home, regrouping after a 1-8 road trip. They're off today. They host the Giants for a 3-game set starting tomorrow. The Astros start a 4-game set at the Orioles this afternoon. The Seahawks have traded cornerback Michael Jackson to the Panthers for rookie linebacker Michael Barrett. Barrett is a 7th-round pick from Michigan and played under head coach Mike McDonald during his lone season as Wolverines defensive coordinator in 2021. The Falcons have signed quarterback A.J. Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million deal with $65.8 million in guarantees, the largest guarantee ever for a cornerback in a 4-year deal. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The original home of the Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon, 1080 The Fan.
Portland Perks.
Looking for some
Yesterday we had our unhinged NFL takes, and both of us are pretty down on the NFC East, the NFC East. The Eagles appear to be teetering on the edge of destruction. The Cowboys are a bottle of nitroglycerin, and the Commanders, well, they're rebuilding and the Giants suck.
Yeah.
However,
Stephen A.
The Philadelphia Eagles are trying to not suck by trading for a wide receiver upgrade, Jahan Dotson, in division with the Washington Commanders, a team that also needs wide receiver help.
This trade was weird. First, it's in division, which is always baffling to see because it's so rare that you see an in-division trade. But when you get the lay of the land here and you realize, right, the new GM in Washington isn't an in-house guy. He's just now learning to hate all the teams in his division. He came from San Francisco. Okay. But it's still weird to see an in-division trade go down, especially a former first-round pick. Jahan Dotson going to Philly from Washington. Now you have given Philly, these are the weapons that Jalen Hurts has to work with. Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert. I believe that Howie Roseman is saying, our quarterback and head coach may hate each other. We might just put enough talent around to where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Because Dotson, and he's only got like I think 1,000 yards in 2 seasons combined, right?
Got a case of the dropsies.
But he's a former first-round talent that you're not putting any sort of expectation on.
He's firmly
to
the
be
third
the guy.
wide receiver.
In 4th receiving option.
Yeah.
3rd wide receiver, but 4th receiving option when you put Goddard into that conversation.
And hell, Barkley.
So you sit there and you look at it and you go, I get where you're going here for if you're Philly, for sure. But that the other side of this is Washington just might know Jahan Dotson sucks.
Yeah. And they got some draft capital out of it because the rest of the opposite Terry McLaurin right now, they just drafted Luke McCaffrey from Rice, Christian's brother.
Ed's other son.
They also have, God, this is a great name, Olamide Zacchaeus.
Badass name.
I mean, that's very, very, very Greek. Love it. Jamison Crowder, and they also have Byron Pringle and Martavis Bryant still not been cut.
Hey, good for Martavis Bryant.
So
and Zach Ertz is your tight end.
Yeah, and look, having Martavis be your big body receiver, as much as they're traditionally put on the outside, you're seeing them put more and more in the slot now. Maybe that's your answer because that's where Dotson was playing, was in the slot.
I think Luke McCaffrey's that guy now.
Sure, but I mean the idea of who you can and can't cycle through if you can't put McCaffrey. Or if you have to move McCaffrey outside for whatever reason.
But I think that is, I mean, we're talking about a receiver from Rice who has a lineage of NFL talent in his family, and you can't underestimate a guy who was just probably missed in the recruiting process and ended up at Rice, right? Like that happens. Guys grow and develop in college. It happens all the time. It's pretty incredible how that works, right?
Weird.
Yeah. Weird. But I think that this does say how out on Dotson Washington was.
Making a trade in division, which usually comes with a tax.
But this is where the tax really wasn't that high.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a 3rd-round pick and 2 sevenths.
All in the 2025 draft.
And Philly got a 5th. They got a 5th for it, too. So it's like, all right, you do the draft value and you go, all right, we give up a 3rd and 2 sevenths. We get a 5th and a guy who's going to be our number 3 receiver right now. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take that. And when Dotson doesn't have the pressure of being a high draft pick and in a situation where you are expected to produce, he may thrive in this role. I don't know if he does. Kellen Moore is the play caller.
Sure.
And we've seen very talented teams with multiple weapons not do great.
We've seen Kellen Moore do good and not so good.
But this is an amazing addition to Philly on paper.
Sure.
What can you do with it, though? And
that's so much of what Philly is, though.
How much of the fighting that you have with your quarterback and head coach, if it is as real as the recent reports indicate, if that is real, that can derail the most talented team.
Regardless of obscene amounts of talent.
No doubt about it.
When it's that sideways,
Yep.
It's kind of tough to be able to figure that all out. I have during the break, something came across the timeline. Nick Saban is currently down at Georgia Tech right now, taking a look ahead of the old broadcast.
Ooh.
I have a pitch for you, a Nick Saban-driven TV show that I want to pitch to you when we come back.
I am in.
You're in? All right. We'll get to that and more coming around Danny and Dusty on 1080 The Fan. Less than 48 hours away from the kickoff of college football. Nick Saban is down with Georgia Tech in Ireland, ahead of the Georgia Tech Florida State game in Dublin. And it got me thinking. Nick Saban, he's no longer coaching, but he still has all of the ability and knowledge in the world to be Mr. Saban, Coach Saban.
Mm-hmm.
What if he went around to all the different schools and like watched practice for a week and went like full bar rescue, but it's team rescue?
Went program rescue. I would be in. It would be really interesting though, because of the fact that the landscape is changing so much and how more flexible you need to be.
Yeah.
But, and there's a story today about how he called his agent, super agent to the coaching stars, Jimmy Sexton. And he said to Jimmy Sexton, I'm going to fire your ass because you made me hire Lane Kiffin. And how much he hated Lane Kiffin. Like, he was all of this stuff that Kiffin jokes about, that was very real. Nick Saban did not like Lane Kiffin at all. And you look at the success that Kiffin is having, and it's not Nick Saban's success by any means, but he thought that Kiffin was a narcissist who rebelled and did things his own way. It should be noted, Alabama's offenses were never as prolific as they were
Under
when
Lane
Kiffin.
Look, he may be a narcissist, and he may rebel a little bit. He's also brilliant.
Yeah, and he maximized the weapons and the talent they had. Saban didn't like that, though, right? And so I wonder, like, how that would work, but it would be I would watch.
Tell me you would watch every single episode.
Single second of it. It would be riveting to see how his process of what he would do to go in. Because here's the other thing about Saban, is that he may be old school, but he went into Michigan State, LSU, Alabama.
Multiple schools, multiple places in the country,
And
different
he
ways of doing things.
Built them up into monsters when he left. He knows how to build a football program. He knows what the power structure should look like within your coaching staff, within your support staff, and then within a locker room.
What your practice setup should look like. What's your financial, not necessarily the money itself, but like the
what do you
structure around it and how it needs to be done. Now, the scaling would change between schools.
And where you could get to different benchmarks of success, he would be magnificent. Because the thing about Saban is,
I need less memes, more D's nuts.
As big of a red ass as he was, look at the guys he developed that are thriving now in other places. He knows the recipe for success. Could he pull it off, and does he have the energy to continue to do that now in a different landscape of college football, where NIL, the transfer portal, and oh, by the way, coming down the pipeline is a breakoff of college football from any other sport in college athletics? Yeah, I think he just said, I don't need to prove anything else. I've done it all. Now, if that was it,
that's a new bridge right there.
His consulting is exactly what people would need.
Put it on TV.
Yeah.
Put it on TV.
And he would make a bajillion dollars.
Here's what you do.
More than he does on his Mercedes dealerships.
Here's what you do. Instead of having your consulting service get paid to go to whatever school, you have, screw it, Omaha Productions. Manning's finance this, right? Do you see they released the stills from the new Chad Powers TV show?
No.
Glenn Powell is Chad Powers.
Perfect.
Unbelievable. Let's say Omaha Productions is the one who fronts all of this. But part of the deal is Saban gets to go in there and run roughshod.
Yep.
Then it's not you. It's made for TV.
Yeah, the big one that would be brutal is the ego of whatever coach is opening up his doors to Nick Saban coming in. I don't know. We wouldn't see it like at Division I. He would do it at, like, you go to a D3, NAIA, D2, even FCS, where they want to be better than they are. You have an administration that's like, we're going to commit to football, but we don't know quite how to do it. Or hell, at those smaller levels, you have a lot of programs that are just starting now.
Sure.
A lot of schools that cut football or never had football
Want to
are
work
saying,
their way back in.
you know what? For the culture of a campus, it means a whole heck of a lot, and we want to be good at it. We're going to go ahead and this is how we get our foot in the door with it.
What's Saban's catchphrase? Is it D's nuts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, apparently
Coach
he loves
says,
those jokes.
Coach says he does.
No,
he
his
does something
catchphrase
some
is,
ways.
all right. You see what I'm doing? All right.
No, I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna go with D's nuts.
Yeah, it would be.
Coach said, if another coach says, no, we do things this way, this way, this way, and Saban's with D's nuts.
These nuts we do.
I think that's the pivot here.
Vancouver for our text line. Please do it with Coach Prime, then have him film an Aflac commercial afterwards.
Does Nick Saban in that commercial look uncomfortable with Prime? I've always thought
Nick Saban in commercials looks uncomfortable.
But the
yes.
very first time I saw that commercial with Prime in it with him, I was like, Saban does not like this.
No,
he does not like this one bit. This is the definition of I do not like